So thank you so much for joining in. Please, after reading the caption of the broadcast, it's a reminder, also read the description of the broadcast as well. Then, just before you settle down, like it, share it. Regulars know this very much, but this information is mostly for any new, any new member of the Temple of Truth, Mayegun's Diary Political. And if you have done all of that, thank you. Yep. So tonight, we have received a confirmed hint or an alert that everyone should take a moment or a break from this coalition, that. It seems Tinubu and this gang are now, plotting to drop an extra twist into your 2027 permutation. If what Devil Umahi said today, in his usual braggadocio manner, Devil Umahi was talking to a group of Igbos in the southeast of Nigeria, as currently, anyway, there is a constitutional review hearing going on across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Devil Umahi said that Tinubu loves the Igbos so much that he has been the only president in Nigeria history who has shown his love for the Igbos. That in fact, that Tinubu's regime is now willing to negotiate with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Well, the supposed symbol of Biafra struggle in this time or present time. The man that they kidnapped, locked up and disobeyed so many court orders in their own court. The man they have spent billions to label a terrorist, and is the man who is peacefully demanding for a referendum for the people of the eastern part of Nigeria. So the conspiracy runs so deep that when Tinubu came in, he inherited this field. It is called Cold War, after the end of Nigeria genocidal war of 1967 to 1970, popularly known as the Biafran War. There are those who participated in that genocide who were never punished. Rather, they were rewarded. They became ministers. They became presidents. They became governors. They became wealthy after that. But to some of them, it is an unfinished business. And one of them is this Bokwari, the guy that has a personal disdain that no one can really explain. It feels like the job was not finished at the time. And that is why he referred to them during the emergence of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to push the same struggle that this time is not war. Let the people decide if they still want to be part of Nigeria or not. Igbo elite conspired with Bokwari, a man that has a personal disdain, despite the fact that they tried so much to push the narrative that same Bokwari loved the Igbo so much. He loved the Igbo so much that he had the Igbo cook that nobody knows. He had Igbo driver when he was in the military that nobody knows. And at the end of the day, he loved the Igbo so much that he chose Umahi Ezekwe, late Umahi Ezekwe, that's his name, I think, as his running mate, vice presidential candidate. If he hates the Igbo, would he choose an Igbo man? They pushed and pushed until they gave the Were power. Until they gave the murderer power. And immediately, the Cold War or the nostalgia of Cold War came back to his head. A man that was supposed to be the president of a country, he became the most divisive individual ever. In fact, he is the one who has taught all of us to remember who we are or where we are from. And also that the lie of one Nigeria that has been told for so long, it was time for them to bury it. No thanks to Bukhari. Today, Nigeria is more divided than ever. In fact, Nigeria is more divided now than Nigeria was after the genocidal war. Today, courtesy of Bukhari, he boldly and proudly said it on national television that the Igbos are just dots in a cycle, something that can be just cleaned away, wiped off. And this is a man from the tribe of less than 3% of the general population of Nigeria. Referring to the people who hold more than, 60 million of the entire population that makes up Nigeria. Somebody from a tribe of 3 million is referring to those of 60 million as what? As dot in a cycle. Both of them, that was the president of Nigeria. Then Mazi Nnamdi Kanu automatically had a target on his back. He became the target of the state. They released the entire instrument of Nigeria after one man who was using a camera, microphone, as well as, his, his computer, laptop, camera phone, and a microphone. Nigeria spends so much money that, for those of you who don't know this, Nigeria spends so much money under Bukhari that they lobbied the US Congress to help them push their agenda of labeling the IPOB a terrorist organization. It flopped. They lobbied the United Kingdom politicians, the UK government. It flopped. All of these are verifiable facts out there. But they continue to push their Nigerian media, compromised Nigerian media propaganda. At the end of the day, when it was time for them to now present the evidence, I mean, they committed an international crime of kidnapping somebody from a country, right, without any legal process, and you kidnapped him and took him to Nigeria. The same Bukhari did the same thing in 1985. Umaru Diko, that was kidnapped in the UK, drugged, and was supposed to be boxed to Nigeria. This madman did the same thing to Nnamdi Kanu. Now, Nnamdi Kanu is in their courts all this while, and yet they couldn't convict him. So, when Tinubu came in, I openly said it on my platform that Tinubu has no business in Bukhari's war. But a lot of people said, with the kind of person that Tinubu is, there is no way he's not involved. There is no evidence of that, though. So, to me, I was like, it shouldn't inherit somebody else's problem. If the Fulanis have problems with the Igbos, at this point, somebody should be the president of Nigeria, without pushing the narrative that the Igbos, right, who have never held any executive power in Nigeria, right, in the 60, how many years? In the 65 years, nearly 65 years of Nigeria's existence. Those who have held power, in the south, for these decades, they are now calling on those, right, that they waged a genocidal war against, enough that they survived. Now surviving, they said they hold those who destroyed Nigeria some level of, commitment enough, some level of a conviction. The Igbos need to convince other people that they can be trusted to rule Nigeria. Oh, the Igbos must obey the rule of this land. The Igbos must be, there are those being given conditions everywhere because it is being politically sponsored. Enough that you would think a country like Nigeria, multi-ethnic, multi-tribal, multi-religious kind of society, a president of such country would have been so educated enough that if you go through the path of bigotry, tribalism, and using the instrument of the state to target anyone because of their tribe or where they come from, you don't have a country. What you have will be a complete slave camp. But they have pushed propaganda enough that there are those who are Igbos themselves who have believed this propaganda. They've accepted it. They blame themselves. They blame themselves for what they didn't do. Majority of the Igbos existing today, I can even say this, but without factual evidence, okay? I can say the existing Igbos on this earth today, more than 70% of them were Igbos that were born after the war. I mean, sure, you get not those ones who actually simply because you didn't do anything. What did you do to Nigeria? That you have to accept the propaganda that says the Igbos own too much. I am not an Igbo person. I'm just saying this. So if I am a Yoruba man and I say, now so Jare, all these Igbo own, they own too much. It's not because I've had an encounter with any Igbo that did anything too much to me. I'm only repeating the propaganda of what the propaganda sponsored by government in their own country against a tribe, against an ethnic nationality, enough to make their citizens repeating the same thing. You will see an ordinary person, somebody who then born after war, 20 years old person, 25 years old man, who is an Hausa or Fulani. It will be bold, like boasting on social media that we will kill all the Igbos, because he's been taught that, your forefathers did it. Nothing happened. Do you get what I mean now? So an Igbo person accepted it, and they believe that they owe Nigeria something. And guess what? There are Igbos everywhere. There are so many of them everywhere enough that they can be classified as those who have forgotten the war. Now, let me explain that. The Igbos were being killed, targeted politically, even when it all started in the late 40s, early 50s and all that, right? They were mostly politically kind of motivated. You will see politicians, they will mount podium. They will say something. They will rile their people, and boom, from there, they will start. This is not even just like a campaign that you hear something. No. They will be blasting it on the radio, right? It was so much like that that the Igbos now felt like they have to go back to their region to be safe. And yet, the war happened. Guess what? After the war, it's these same Igbos who have left their place to go and buy land inside the same Nigeria. But guess what? Many other people who are non-Igbos, except some people who get coconut head, and those who even have the coconut head, to leave their region and go to Igbo land, they will have stories to tell you what they are passing through in the hands of their relatives. You are in that place, this and that, especially the generations that were fed proper propaganda in that war. So the Igbos went back. But today, if you go to any part of Nigeria and an Igbo man is not there, people said you shouldn't stay there. And yet, there are still those that people have been taught not to trust. Meanwhile, again, I'm talking about those who have invested in Nigeria. What about those who have participated in the political space? They have pledged their loyalty. They have proven it. They have sacrificed people. They have accepted military to come to their place and kill their youth in order to send a message that, listen, we are not in support of any, but yet they can't be trusted. That is how the system is made. This is your reality. This is your one Nigeria. Right? Now, having known all of this, an innocent man is locked up for demanding a peaceful referendum. They said he has a weapon of mass destruction. And what was that? He had a microphone, a camera phone, and a laptop. Right? While terrorists who have killed hundreds of thousands, kidnapped hundreds of thousands, collected tens of trillions, displaced tens of millions, are being made priority, national priority. And their victims are being told to learn how to accommodate them. And don't let hate block their views. Don't let hate block your vision. Love your neighbor as yourself. Inside that same Nigeria, and you are all seeing it. Everyone is saying it. Everyone get opinion. Igbo politicians, Igbo traditional institutions, Igbo elite generally. Now, election is coming. Tinubu, that is hobnobbing with, according to Umahi, hobnobbing with the Igbo politicians, possibly see a window now. You know what? Ashiwaju, the Igbos will support you in 2027 if you can release Nnamdi Kanu. If Nnamdi Kanu is that really valuable, how did people like Umahi sleep at night? What do they tell themselves whenever they go to bed at night and remembering that they have hands in locking an innocent man somewhere, except if it is politically useful? We will negotiate with him. How do they go to bed at night? How do they look at people in the eyes and still claim that, you know, I don't know. I mean, this is how my mind kind of works, right? My mind works in a way that, listen, it can conjure so many things by putting the pieces of this information together and the pieces of the thought. And sometimes I wish a lot of people think that way. Maybe a lot of us will probably be like radicalized straight. Injustice created dissent. Nigeria is a place where injustice is nationalized. Not having electricity is an injustice. Not having security is a great injustice. Having to manage poverty rather than actually put policies that will eradicate it is an injustice. Mortgaging the future of an unborn generation with debt that you don't even have any plan of repaying, that's an injustice against unborn generation. People would disagree. People would be upset. People would probably want something better because you have a system of injustice. And then you also have a system or a society which God. You have people who are so unconcerned as long as it is not happening to them. You have that same society, a society that cannot be united in their, intentional human-imposed sufferings. You watch everyone. I mean, everybody's trying to survive. That society will breed dissent. You would have criminals, armed robbers. You would have kidnappers. You would have, fraudsters. You would have people, society like that will breed the worst of the worst. And that's enough to unite everyone. Injustice in that land. When you look around you, you are surrounded by these injustices everywhere. But it's a divided society. It's a defeated society, unfortunately. So Umahi is telling us now that Tinubu is having a rethink. And it is not a gaffe. He said it like it's a promise. People have already predicted that, you see this, since they announced this coalition. A government like say Tinubu and his gang are now doing what they said is impossible for the past 5 years before these criminals came to power 10 years ago. Even after they came to power, Nigeria had a system as corrupt and as poor as you probably would think of it. It had a system then where you could use your bank card to make purchases online on international platforms without having to go and buy dollars or send money to somebody to do it for you. It was that easy. Then 5 years ago, that stopped. It stopped. Then they brought all these fintech guys, all these ones that are building solutions. Those ones who brought you POS. That today you will go to the ATM machine, cash machine, there is no cash there. But somebody who is seated on the roadside is there with the cash, with a machine. They are solving a problem created by a corrupt system, a broken system. And then yesterday, suddenly, those who have been pushing it for the past 5 years, it started working. Just like that. So people have said that a lot of things will begin. In fact, they may reduce the price of petrol